The video that Adam's about to cover, I actually watched this video yesterday. So I've seen it, I guess, either at the same time as him or before he did. But this is his react video. But I already watched this yesterday. And being somebody myself who actually worked for a staffing agency for 5 years, who commingles with a lot of labor leaders, lives in California, right? Um, I have my own, I'm not an attorney like this woman is, but I certainly have a lot of knowledge in this area in regards to what's allowable. So let's go over this.
Hello everyone, welcome back to my YouTube channel. So I'm going to do a video today that has been incredibly requested, and if you're on my streams or in my comment section, you will know exactly what I'm talking about. So people have been wanting me to react to Legal Bites, which is a YouTube channel here on the platform, covering the current situation to do with me and Colleen. And I'm going to be honest, I really was done reacting to these kind of videos. I reacted to a couple from Runkle of the Bailey, which I thought were really good. I watched like an Emily D. Baker one, but I haven't really covered it in a while, specifically to do with like the legal aspect of it. But people were really asking me to, review and react to this. I don't know what to expect, so we're gonna get into this. This is a video from Legal Bites. It is a two-parter. I don't know if it is a two-parter or there's only two parts right now. But we are going to get into it, so I have no idea what to expect. Let's get into it, mama. So this is for the bitches that requested it, okay?
Okay.
Ooh.
In recent weeks, YouTube superstar Colleen Ballinger has found herself in the middle of a PR nightmare.
I like the music.
As allegations of all kinds have surfaced, and in some instances, resurfaced. These allegations have spanned from claims about grooming minors, to sending explicit OnlyFans material to minors, to charity fraud, to employment law violations. And on top of it all...
Oh my god, the employment law, violations to do with was it the PA that spoke up?
Signatera is a personalized
Up and the haters back offset. I don't like how little people are talking about that. That a worker on haters back off the net.
Well, here's the thing, Adam, is that it's not what she's addressing right here is not necessarily like the racism issues and stuff like that, which is a little harder. Well, you've got some screenshots, so that is provable, right? But what she's talking about, what she's going to get into, is that you provided a service and did not get paid for it, and you were a child, and you did not have a work permit. And these are all things that Colleen, as an employer, needed to make sure was happening. That's where we're going.
Netflix show spoke out about the environment and how there were undertones of like racism and stuff there. And the charity fraud allegedly as well. Yeah.
She has herself made some fairly damaging admissions. And although a lot of people have been talking about potential
Disney ears, love,
criminal liability, criminal charges, I actually think that some of the decisions that she's made could actually give rise to some viable civil legal claims against her. There is so much going on here. So we are actually going to have to break this into 3 parts. This is part 1, but rest assured, we will be going over all of it. Let's get into it.
It always stresses me out whenever I'm like about to listen to someone talk about the topic who I have like no awareness of before. It like stresses me out. I'm like, are they just gonna drag me? And even if they are, I can take it. But like,
she's not gonna drag you, okay? She's actually gonna give you some pretty sound legal advice for free, and you should probably bring it to your attorney.
Unknown stresses me.
Know who Colleen Ballinger is, you can absolutely be forgiven. I personally didn't know who she was until
what a life of bliss.
This whole controversy started to blow up in recent weeks. That said, as my research has shown, she's apparently a huge...
Of course the video shown is, I'm pregnant!
YouTube star, which is always a nice point for humility that you can...
By the way, I still double down on my claims that she's trying her best to come back with a pregnancy announcement.
Well, if she is, that's probably one of the dumbest things she could possibly do after she has all these allegations of child abuse. That is, it's not a good look to be like, I'm gonna have another baby. Not a good look.
I'm going to be honest. I genuinely believe that that is where we're headed. And if she doesn't come back with one, then she's probably definitely trying.
Actually reach basically the peak of YouTube's.
Because if she comes back with a pregnancy announcement, then if anyone gives her criticism for not addressing things, then she, can get out of it because people will be like, oh, you're now harassing like an expecting mother.
Stardom
Oh
and
my
still
God.
not necessarily be a household name. Anyway, let's talk background for a little bit so you can get some context to understand what this whole controversy is all about and what kind of liabilities she might actually be looking at.
Ooh.
In 2008, Colleen Ballinger started uploading videos to YouTube as a character she created called Miranda Sings. According to some interviews Colleen has given, she said she created the character as a joke, essentially to poke fun at girls on YouTube posting videos of themselves singing into a camera in their bedrooms. Miranda Sings as a character is a person whose confidence outmatches her actual singing and performance abilities, like wildly outmatches it, and with poorly done makeup and clothing to match.
So this is my official audition for being Christine on Broadway in Phantom of the Opera. Flowers fade, the fruits of summer fade. They had their seasons, so do we. So,
Adam, you're gonna have to explain to us older folk what the draw was here and how the fandom was created and why you were even watching this nonsense. You're gonna have to explain it to the people who are old enough to be your parents. Because, I mean, if I came across a video like that, there is no way I'd be like, oh yeah, I gotta watch that every day. Oh my God.
that's pretty much it. And I'll be seeing you guys on Broadway when it opens up.
Colleen said in an interview,
Ironically, sounded very much so like when Colleen was singing on Broadway, but
I thought it was so stupid because I didn't think anybody got famous off of YouTube, which, as an aside, is a little weird for two reasons. First, shortly before doing this, Colleen was apparently one of those girls herself. And on the other hand, performers have in fact been discovered on YouTube, most notably Justin Bieber, who was discovered in 2007 and whose first single, One Time, was released to radio in May 2009. Anyway, since then, Colleen's popularity grew along with the popularity of her character, Miranda Sings. As of the time of filming this video, the Miranda Sings channel has over 10.7 million subscribers, and the other channels Colleen has created have similarly amassed millions of followers there. But aside from that, her success then grew to a Netflix show called Haters Back Off, an appearance on a Broadway show,
stop.
and she's also appeared on The Tonight Show, The View, and Comedians in Cars Getting Coffee, among other things. She also has had a one-woman live show starring Miranda Sings, which has been wildly popular and sold out many shows, and would later become one of the sources of her recent
Shout out Becky. Can we get some love for Becky in the chat? Shout out Becky. Love you, Becky.
downfall. All of this has come with endorsement deals, advertisement roles, and a devoted community of viewers. Many
I'm still at a complete loss for how you kids even watched this woman. I don't understand. Look, I'm not going to blame you because you were kids. You're kids. And sometimes, you're into entertainment that I'm not into, that I just don't get. But I don't get it. I don't get it. And it makes me very sad that you all ended up fraternizing with a child predator. It's very strange to me. But I guess she had some level of appeal to you all. I just don't get it. That's not the kind of shit I watched when I was a kid. Like, I watched Nickelodeon. I watched people getting slimed. I watched cartoons. I watched, sketch TV type stuff, but I didn't watch nonsense knuckleheads,
of whom are, importantly, children. However, all of that success came to a screeching halt in recent weeks when a number of allegations
Warning, please. I'm not even kidding. There was a little bit of a jump scare there.
Surfaced from fans who had had personal relationships with her while they were minors. But before I get into that portion, I have to thank this video sponsor. This video is sponsored by Brent.
Shout out to you,
Yeah.
but this one is not.
Yeah, so skip through that.
Colleen Ballinger.
Thank you.
In 2020, another YouTuber named Adam McIntyre came out with a video called Colleen Ballinger Stop Lying, where he
Are you wearing the same shirt? Same shirt. It looks like you got the same shirt on and you've just like washed it so many times over the last 3 years that it's faded a little bit.
made some allegations about Colleen.
I'm so ugly in this video. In theory, I wish I didn't record this video right after crying.
Oh, it's
Because-
fine. Yeah.
This image would haunt me for many years. Many years. I wish I had hired a fucking glam squad. I wish I was well rested for the amount of people that were going to share this to make fun of me.
You know what though? It gives you some sincerity, and also crying makes your eyes a little more glassy, which is considered pretty. Whatever. I wouldn't worry about it too much.
I wish that I had glam squad, Louis Vuitton outfit on, like, but I mean, really during this time, I was like, it was during the pandemic. I was so stressed about the Colleen thing. I wasn't sleeping. I was literally a mess, crying all the time. And just whenever I look at this, I like associate it with that era, and I'm like, wow, it clearly showed.
Indicating that she had groomed him after he met her after a live show in 2016, and they
I
started
never said groomed until this year, by the way, but I do say groomed now. I didn't say it back then because I didn't
Right.
even know what that word meant.
having a personal relationship through text and direct messages.
After 2016, during a live stream that I'll discuss later, me and Colleen started talking on a more personal level. And by 2017,
Which, by the way, I just had an argument with my boyfriend over the word grooming, because grooming means many different things. And obviously, we are using it mostly in the context of grooming children to either perform, be manipulated to perform things for an adult or in a sexual context. But the word can be applied to adults as well. And we got into an argument about this because my boyfriend sought the advice of one of his daughters. You literally can groom an adult too, you know? And in one of my situations, I had a dude who was younger than me who groomed me for several months to have an affair with him while we were on a road trip. It can happen to adults too.
we were good friends, or what I would have called good friends.
This included sharing personal information about her divorce.
Around this time, though, was whenever my parents started
Can
getting
we talk about how my story never changed? 3 years! And that story never changed. But these bitches are coming into the scene, Cody and some other people, and they've been talking about it for like a month, and their story has changed like 3 or 4 times. If anything, I'm consistent.
a little.
And I'll always give myself credit for that. Because you know what? Whenever you're not lying, you don't need to twist things, or you don't need to remember what you have said. Which is why my story has never changed.
Bit more cautious, and we're wondering why.
Well, let's not devalue the fact that sometimes people don't remember everything in the moment, and more details may come to them later because they might be in shock when something has happened initially. So stories can change slightly, but the bare bones of it, the framework of it, is probably not going to change. But it is actually very human to forget details or to be flustered. So let's talk. I mean, your story hasn't changed. You're right, but it's also not rehearsed, right? And I think that's what people are looking for is, Are you saying the exact same words every single time? Is this a rehearsed story? And when people are evaluating what happened to you and the various live streams you've done, we're looking for, how natural is it for you to speak about what happened? And, or is it a rehearsed story? Right? So yes, you don't want your story to change, but yes, you can add different details, describe it slightly differently, and but you can't change like the entire framework of the story. Obviously, you have to, stick to the basic framework of the story every single time you tell it.
A 30-year-old was talking to, at this time, a 13-year-old about her divorce.
He also said,
I can't believe people watched this video and weren't in my defense.
I know, right?
And you sneeze.
in the video that in the course of this relationship,
Sorry, I'm sick.
she at one point sent him a pair of women's lingerie.
In 2016, Colleen and Corey were doing a live stream and they stumbled across my Twitter account. They found my tweets really funny, and this was the day before we officially started really talking. They found my Twitter so funny that they said they needed to send me bra and panties that Corey was wearing during the live stream.
Oh my god, that makes me laugh. I want to send him something. Do you want the bra, Adam?
Do you want the bra and panties? Tweet right now.
Oh my god. Yeah.
Which, by the way, she already, I think this is one of the things you're not bringing up, Adam, is that she was already well aware that her fan base was mostly minors, and yet she was even just displaying lingerie on a live stream, and then went so far off the rails that she actually sent it to you. It's bigger than just the sending it to you. It's the fact that she was even like advertising it to children in the first place, knowing that that was the majority of her fan base.
He is so creepy and just so weird. Like, he has the weirdest just energy and aura around him. He is so creepy. They said this to you? Oh, we need to catch you up.
Let me know what you want. He's in Ireland. Hi, Adam. Okay. I'm sending him something.
Like, look at him.
Maybe
He's so
he wants
weird.
Panties. Although then his parents will be like, "You're not allowed to watch who is sending you panties."
What is he doing?
Yeah.
What is he doing?
Is he touching himself?
He is so fucking creepy.
Even Mom, don't worry. I watched him play wear it online first.
Now, looking back at that, I'm still a minor. I'm still 17, but looking back on that, I just... You know yourself. So again, looking back as a 17-year-old, I'm just really disgusted at the situation and confused, honestly. They went on my Twitter because they thought it was funny, and then they said they had to send me the bra and panties. So I did get sent the lingerie, and immediately, whenever it arrived, my parents were furious. They were so angry, and they took it away. And I didn't know if they still had it, and I asked my mum, did she have it? Because she knew I was making this video. So she was looking all morning, but she did find it. So I still have this. My mum kept it. I didn't even see these because my mum had just taken them
what's
away.
so crazy about this as well is, like, in talking with my mom and having conversations behind the scenes on, like, having, evidence and stuff like that, I'm pretty sure we still have them.
Because she was so
I'm
shocked.
pretty sure we still have them.
So, this was what I was sent.
Yeah, and Corey's getting so off the hook with all this because obviously everything's focused on Colleen. Corey is so creepy, and I'm aware his reputation, and especially West Hollywood, is awful with people thinking he's creeps anyway, but he really is. Okay, my mom said we still have them. Okay, yeah, we
I don't
do.
know which way this goes. This is what...
And by the way, whenever she retells this story, she says, I sent him, like, ugly, like, just, like, clothes. She sent me, like, sexy lingerie. She sent me, like, sexy, like, panty lingerie. And it's so crazy. It's so crazy. Adam, genuine question. You said you took a picture wearing them like Corey did, but you said they were immediately taken away. Yeah, I've said this online. So basically what happened is whenever I got them, my parents took them away but left me with the letter. Actually, it was my mom and my brother. My mom took them away. And then later when we were doing a call on whatever platform it was, and Corey had said, Adam still hasn't put them on. And Corey was messaging me that I still haven't put them on because he had messaged me whenever I was, watching the live stream. He wore them over his clothes and he was like, make sure to do that. So I went into my mom's room. I knew where they were and I put them on over my clothes. And Corey then had that picture, which is just so much to unpack there that I don't want to unpack because it will make me spiral. But that's what happened there. And then I put them back.
It's that my mom had these,
And Corey was keeping that. And Colleen was keeping that screenshot to use against me. So even in that moment, for some reason, they were plotting something against me because they had that image.
Well, you know what, Adam? That's probably why she was doing that shit with Trish, too. With her photos that she got from the fans only site. She does, it's almost like revenge porn, right? Colleen is a horrible person. I just watched this thing about, I've watched a couple of these things about, like, John and Kate +8 and how horrible Kate was and all the kind of crap that she did, especially to her son, Colin. None of those kids were getting paid. None of those kids were getting paid for living their lives on reality TV. And there's a lot of really mean adults out there who will take advantage of children. It's very sad.
Or they were doing something with it and they were holding this image of me, like, without my consent of something they asked me to do since I was, like, 14. It's just so much to unpack
She later said in
mentally.
response to this that he had asked for it when she did a giveaway on a live stream and indicated that she really
I just don't understand why they would keep that image. Other than asking for it, I don't know why they were keeping it. And, like, they were preparing it just in case. So then, like, what? They hold evidence against all of the little children they bully?
was just somehow responding to what he really wanted.
4 years ago, I did a live stream, and in this live stream, I did a giveaway. I was giving away clothes that were unused, tagged still on, brand new, that I had just bought that I did not want. One of the items that was in this box was a really ugly pair of underwear. As soon as we pulled them out...
Like, they were, like, sexy underwear. They were, like, sexy lingerie. So her diminishing it to that is for a reason, by
They
the way.
started laughing and joking around about how ugly they were. Why did I buy these ridiculous underwear? It was so stupid. I just got big old...
Yeah, Colleen. Why? Why did you knew what you bought, right? Like, you actually went onto a website, picked these items out, had them shipped to you, and purposely did a live stream to display what you purchased, right? That's what you did, Colleen. You knew there was going to be lingerie in that box, and you fucking showed it to a bunch of kids. Well done.
box.
Yes, when she edits the live stream.
You guys. Maybe I'll send the ones I don't want to you guys. I got a bunch of crop tops. The panties from you. And people started asking for them in the live stream. What's that bra? You want the...
And what she forgot to include was that I didn't. You know what I mean? She's saying people were asking for it. It was her that offered it to me first.
What's the bra?
Which is, like, she said that everyone wanted them, and then when she got to finding me funny, she said, did I want it and she should send it to me, which she didn't include.
At the end of the live stream, I was done giving away clothes, and then this boy who made this video about me recently, he asked for the underwear.
After she edits out the clip of her being like, I really want to send him the brown pennies, and his parents will be like, this is so weird, you can never speak with this woman again. But obviously, why would you include that?
Hey, we picked people.
Why would you include that?
Did that boy win these or not?
I don't know.
Like, even in that moment, Corey kept reiterating as well.
He has to tell me what he wants.
What did he say?
So they cut this.
He said,
They cut this moment from whenever she said, and we've seen it many, many, many times. I don't even need to show it again, of her being like, I don't even like listening to her lying here, of her literally being like, we should send him the brown pennies, but she edited that out.
funny, we laughed about it, and I forgot to send them to him. And eventually he tweeted me, asking me for them again. I sent them to him. He
After after, at the meet and greet, on record, by the way, she said that she was sorry for not bringing them to me. And I said, I can't believe she said that in front of my parents. So she was openly having this dialogue with me. But why would she include that?
Them on over his clothes and posted about them. It was like a big joke.
That is not true. She said that I put them on over my clothes and posted about it. No, it was in a private chat with Colleen and Corey and the Weenies, and then they screenshotted it and used it as like revenge against me many, many, many years later.
Within the fandom, I did this publicly. That live stream is still up right now, and I've always given out weird random things in live streams.
Can we get some tomatoes in the chat?
Costume. I've given out old bobby pins, dirty shoes. A few weeks ago, I sent a fan like a single.
Why, Colleen? Why is that what you do? Like, seriously? You know, I've given away things before. Like, when I left one of my companies, it was going to be like my last day. I had some gift cards that were very specific to Richmond, Virginia, that I was not going to be able to use again because I was moving back to California. And so I did some trivia questions, and I gave out, like, you know, $20 gift cards to various restaurants that were local to that area. That's the kind of shit you give away, Colleen. That is so dumb. That is so narcissistic that you have manipulated these children into your fandom, and you think that anything you give them, even a piece of toilet paper, is going to be valuable to them. That's really fucking narcissistic.
Piece of toilet paper. I've always given away weird stuff, and so in my mind at the time, this was no different than all the
Make this school year
the other weird stuff I send to my fans as a joke. Now, in hindsight, I see how completely stupid of me. I should have never sent that. I don't know what part of my brain was missing at the time that I thought, oh,
what part
this
of it's
is a
missing
normal,
now?
silly thing to do. I should have realized and recognized how dumb that was and never sent it to him, no matter how much he asked. But it was never a sneaky, creepy, gross thing that I was doing in secret.
No matter how much he asked. Please stop projecting blame here. You were the adult in the situation, Colleen. You shouldn't even displayed lingerie to your kid fans. That's so gross. You were so gross.
It was a silly, stupid mistake.
But it's interesting her saying that, and then on the record, she said to me in Dublin at the meet and greet in 2016, whenever my parents were behind me, like, I'm so sorry I didn't bring your lingerie and stuff. And I have a video on my channel from 2016 where I'm like, she said this to me and my parents are behind me, and I was like, oh my God, my parents are going to hear me. She liked having a secret dialogue with me without my parents knowing. So she's lying, but we're aware of that. And I'm so glad I did.
That's because she's treating you like an ex-boyfriend. She is. Like, the way that she's gone about this whole thing is, and the whole reason she wrote that song, the ukulele song Apology, she used the exact same chord transition as what she wrote for her ex-husband. That should really be creeping you out, is that she is treating you like an ex-boyfriend. And I think most adult women can see that.
Documented everything because I have the proof.
That now is being blown way out of proportion.
But many people have noted that regardless of whether he asked for it, regardless of whether it could be written off as just a joke, it was still incredibly inappropriate for a woman in her 30s to be sending lingerie to a teenage boy. And yeah, I would have to absolutely agree with that. Now, in that same 2020 video, Adam also said that he did some work for Colleen related to her social media accounts, and it sounded like this was actually unpaid work. We'll get into this particular area of allegations in part 2, so keep an eye out for that one. But first, I want to say that basically, as a result of Adam's 2020 video, Colleen initially got some backlash, but ultimately that somehow turned into online hate that was directed right back at Adam, particularly from Colleen's fan base. Then eventually the controversy died down and nothing else really changed. But in June of this year, a new wave of allegations rolled in as some other people posted to social media that Colleen was engaging in inappropriate...
These are children.
conversations with minors in group chats, particularly one called Colleenie's Weenies or the Weenies or something like that. These conversations reportedly included asking minors directly if they were virgins.
She was literally in DMs talking to children about SEX. Here's one. Are you a virgin? This is Colleen in a group chat with children.
I fucking hate you, Cody. I fucking hate you, Cody. I really, really, really hate you, Cody. I hate you, Cody, so...
It's got to be really hard to watch this, what's the word I'm looking for? Non-binary person. There we go. Who is also an adult, who was also playing in this child playground that Colleen set up, who was doing inappropriate fan fiction with kids, take advantage of this situation for their own needs, right? Their own desire to, I guess, get a computer. So I hope y'all come after Cody too.
So much. I hope you're living a miserable life. I really, really, really hope you are.
And they're called the Weenies. This is the group chat. If you're in the Colleen Ballinger fandom, you know about this group chat. She's also asking, what's your
Trigger
favorite
warning, Cody.
position?
And sending explicit OnlyFans images so they could all comment on them together. These images were of Colleen's supposed friend, Trisha Paytas, who is another big YouTuber, and were used.
Which, by the way, Trisha apparently has a sordid past amongst other live streamers as well, right? So this is her moment to be like, hey, take pity on me. I was abused, blah, blah, blah. Which she was. She was. But I just recently had a video come up in my feed from H3H3 about how they had a big falling out just last fall because she's so duplicitous. So I don't even know what to think of these people.
To essentially mock Trisha's body.
Last night, the text messages were shown, and it's very clearly from Colleen to a fan. Has over 500,000 views on Twitter that I'm not embarrassed by. I'm embarrassed for her. I try to take myself out of these equations when I'm feeling triggered, and if I were to look at it as it happening to someone else, I wouldn't be humiliated for the person in the photos. I'd be humiliated for the person who sent them.
Yep.
Although it can be humiliating for the person in the photos as well. And it somewhat is embarrassing. I get made fun of all the time for my body, my nudes, even under this person's posts. While I'm thankful, he posted them so I could see that this is real. It's hearing all that horrible stuff underneath the photo, like about my body just being messed up or disgusting, and it's a lot. Yes, I'm a sex worker, and yes, I chose this job, and yes, I make money doing it. But it never feels good to have some.
Well, and also, I mean, the thing is, like, when you're a plus size sex worker, your appeal is going to be to adult men. Teenage boys are looking for waifs for the most part because that's the size of the majority of their peers, right? So they're not going to be like interested in looking at a plus size adult model. And so, yeah, there's probably going to be, and they're kids, so they're stupid. They're going to say stupid things about your body. She knew this, though. She knew this. This was purposeful.
Want to just like make fun of your naked body. It's just a really vulnerable thing, and it is a little embarrassing if I'm being honest. But I'm more embarrassed for her.
I mean, hell, I'm not even plus size. And I got body shamed on my Instagram account by one of the neighborhood kids who is one of these creepy little pieces of shit who runs around the neighborhood. And I had to block him. Like, you know, sometimes that's the adult decision to make is look, if you're going to be an asshole, I'm just going to block you. Like, I didn't even know you were following my account. Holy crap.
Her that this is the kind of person she is. Like, I'm so embarrassed.
Anyway, there were also allegations that came out about Colleen's live show as Miranda Sings. This included a gag she did where she would pick a young boy in the audience and have him come up on stage
That's
to,
so
quote,
weird.
teach everyone how to go on a date.
We're gonna go on a date together right now. We're gonna teach you guys how to go on a date, okay? First thing you need to do is pick a good location. So I recommend going deep and dark into the woods where no one can hear you.
This gag involves having the boy reach into the front of her pants where she has a big Ziploc bag of cheese balls.
You can't just flail around the cheese balls when you're on a date in the woods because there are bears out there and they will.
How the hell did the parents in the audience not see this as inappropriate? What the fuck even? Like, if I had gone to a show like this with my son, I would have walked the fuck out of it. I have walked out of movies before that I felt were inappropriate for my son to watch. Like, once certain scenes came up, I was like, oh, hell no. We're leaving.
Trying to eat your cheese balls, so you have to hide your cheese balls. So for example, now my cheese balls are hidden from the bears, okay? So I got this bear right here.
I think what's most bizarre about that clip is like how much of a running bit it was in every single one of every single one of her shows, right? And I think the fact that she did it in every show, like, it's a running bit. But the fact in every single show, she's specifically bringing on, like, a very, very, not even an underage boy, but a very, very, very young one, is just, like, deranged. And the fact that there's a video of her being like, oh, I brought a really young boy on stage and he was really uncomfortable with the fact and he told me he doesn't want to be my bae and he doesn't want to put his hand on my... And she's telling all this, and it's just like... And there's, like, a team that, like, stand behind this show as well, right?
Right.
This is so romantic. Oh, I'm so hungry. Wait a minute.
But Adam, you gotta also look at what was going on with the parents. They were observing this in the moment and not doing a damn thing about it.
I mean, at its core, it's just a bit making fun of children and making children the joke of not understanding the sexual nature of what they're currently doing, which is just... And, like, she makes this argument about, like, Miranda is being subjected to this inappropriateness by her uncle, and she isn't aware of it. But then why are you subjecting just random paying, you know, families' children's to it in your live show?
Now go. That must be like the best place to hide it because there's no way you can fit that in your pocket.
Do you want a cheese ball?
I'd love
And I think this kid saying this next line was one of the biggest...
I can't believe I'm reaching in there right now.
It also includes another gag where Miranda Sings, quote, teaches yoga or does some kind of a yoga challenge or something like that. In this one, she brings an audience member onto the stage, getting them
Shout out
on their
Becky.
back on the floor and spreads their legs wide open.
Love you, Becky.
Here's an account from one girl named Becky on her experience being that person called up to the stage.
Now, as soon as I stood up from the audience, I saw Colleen's eyes widen because she realized I was not wearing pants. But for some reason, that didn't stop her from continuing. In fact, no adult at any point stepped in this situation. So we get to the point in the yoga challenge where I am laying down and Colleen is spreading my legs basically as far as she can. She spreads them so far that you can see the spandex I was wearing under my romper, which thank God I was wearing. Now, the original video posted by Xandar, I'm sorry if I pronounced her name wrong, is only a screenshot, but there is a whole video of this. But that screenshot is the most important because that is the moment I will never forget where I was laying under Colleen and she was smirking down at me while thousands of people were laughing, and I was terrified that my body wasn't covered enough by the spandex.
Yeah, Colleen, why the fuck do you keep sexualizing your fan base? That is so fucking bizarre. I mean, like, you were such a child predator. I don't even know what to say. Like, you don't do that sort of shit with kids. That is so fucking bizarre that that's your entire shtick, is to sexualize children moments. Like, part of your character was to have a creepy uncle that was molesting you or something. You are so fucking weird. And the fact that people actually paid you to do that is fucking insane to me.
With a romper.
Yeah, and fuck Colleen for addressing this in the ukulele song and being like, fart joke. Because I know that that's like a joke now, like, fart joke. But, like, fuck her for doing that.
Yeah.
I basically felt naked, so it felt incredibly sexually violating. I was younger and my body was still developing and I was still becoming comfortable with myself, so for her to use my body as entertainment on stage really set my confidence back quite a lot. And not to mention, after all this, after the show, I had to walk back to my car where there was many men staring at me in a very predatorial way that they were not looking at me before because of how exposed I had been on stage. So I literally did not feel safe leaving the venue.
And again, all of these people being called up to the stage are apparently minors. Ostensibly, they're there with their parents, so there's definitely a question about that. But there's a question, a serious question that could be asked as to whether or not it's even possible for these kids to consent to these kinds of things. No. Anyway, as these
not when the person is their idol and they're in front of a huge ass audience that are waiting for them to fulfill the joke.
Allegations really started to stack up.
And that's also something to be said about the parents. Like, for these kids that go on stage and people are like, why did the parents not stand up? If the parents did something in that, not only would it be super embarrassing to the children in the moment, and the children would be so embarrassed that their parents, you know, brought them off stage with their idol, but then the crowd would turn against them, because listen to the crowd when the bit happens. They're roaring and screaming and...
in the public conversation, and more people got in to talk about what exactly was going on here. A lot of people started to ask whether or not Colleen was going to respond to any of this. She had previously made a response video to Adam McIntyre's initial video in 2020.
And called me.
Well, quite frankly, Adam, if it had been my son that had been put in a position like that, I'm the kind of mom who actually would have walked up on stage and taken my son off stage and told her to stay the fuck away from my kid. I literally would have done this because I was a strong advocate for my kid during his childhood years. Obviously he's off and, you know, married, and I have grandchildren now. But, like, there is no way I would have allowed... Like, the minute it started happening, I would have been running up there and told her to get the fuck away from my kid.
Boy.
This would maybe happen here as well. And after some time, Colleen did in fact publish a video responding to these new allegations.
Hit us with it.
But it wasn't exactly an apology video, and the tone was pretty sarcastic and self-victimizing.
All aboard the toxic.
She's not gonna.
I don't even want to hear it.
She's not gonna play that.
I don't even want to hear it.
She's not
blaming the parents instead. Oh, hello, Jesus, winning myself. Blaming the parents instead of the predator is crazy. Yeah.
No.
I mean, it's anything to, like, deflect away from...
No. They both had responsibility in this situation. Your parents are supposed to protect you. If they see you being victimized by a predator, they're the ones who have to save you. Okay? So no, they are not scot-free of blame here.
Their responsibility on the person whose responsibility it is, which is Colleen. Okay, can we move on from this clip? At least you're having fun.
Right. That's lots of fun, right?
I'm trying to read her lips. I can barely read her lips over the fucking face chin smooth filter that she has blurring her entire face.
Didn't quite seem to grasp the seriousness of the allegations that were being talked about. And this has resulted in people bringing up a number...
I was gonna be like, who the fuck's that? Holy shit, my hair!
Yeah.
Fierce.
You
on the Disneyland Paris shirt, fierce.
of other questions, including those regarding her annual charity drives as well. This is going to be the subject of part 3 of this series, but I will give a quick rundown here. So she apparently collects money for charity every year to a page on Fundly.
Do you think she's going to do it this year? Yes or no? Do you think she's going to do the ethical, allegedly, childhood cancer fundraisers?
Doubtful.
I mean, Mama's got to get that tax bill down somehow, allegedly.
I don't know.
Which is a third-party organization where you can gather charity funds to a personal account before.
I mean, if she's got a sweetheart deal like Kate did, Kate Gosselin, Kate Gosselin had TLC pay for her entire divorce, for all of her legal fees, and also pursued her ex-husband John to try and force him to continue doing the show with her. So, I mean, it all depends on what kind of corporate relationships she has.
Donating them. And for a number of years, Colleen has apparently been doing these drives primarily for donations for kids with cancer. But there are questions being asked about where these funds are going, why she insists on following these drives through herself personally when other options do exist, whether she's actually donating this money, whether she's donating.
I mean, this all boils down to the fact that the money that people donate to Colleen Ballinger's childhood cancer fundraisers goes into Colleen Ballinger's account. We're aware it goes out in some capacity, but it goes into her personal or business bank account. That tells you everything you need to know. And the fact that
a lot of these charities only donate 10% to the actual cause. Just being real.
Months now, people have been asking her to provide receipts of how much she's paid over the past couple of years, and she hasn't. Let it speak for itself, babe.
Donating all of this money.
If I was being accused of stealing from charities and stuff, I would tell you I'd be first down with the receipts.
She's receiving, and whether she's getting an improper tax benefit by funneling these funds through herself. Okay, so there is a lot going on here. So we will take this piece by piece and dig into what some of these potential legal implications are here. All aboard!
All aboard!
To begin, a lot of people have been talking about potential criminal liability for Colleen here, particularly having to do with the grooming accusations. Given that she's from California, she lives in California, her business is based in California, I think it's safe to say that California law is going to apply to basically everything here. So the closest thing that I can see that could pin Colleen under California law would be California Penal Code Section 288.2. This law criminalizes the act of sending explicit material to minors. But keep in mind that there are a number of elements that have to be met in order for this law to apply to the situation. So we're going to go through these elements, and I'm going to soften the language a bit just because we are talking about crimes associated with behaviors with children.
Thank you.
So keep that in mind if that is something that is difficult for you to digest. Anyway, this is what the prosecution would have to show in order to give the defendant prison time for something.
Now, here's where it gets a little tricky, Adam. Like, I'm not an attorney. But she is also not, I don't think, a practicing attorney currently. And so I think a lot of what she's saying about employment law actually applies to adults. Like, she has some knowledge of the child labor laws, but I don't know that the statute of limitations that she's going to state applies in the same way to children as it does to adults. So that's why I think you should talk to your attorney about this.
First, the defendant has to know.
Yeah, I agree. Citing the penal code right now is powerful. It's slay, actually.
In a position to know that the person that they are talking to or communicating with is in fact a minor. Second, the defendant has to send what's called harmful matter, like explicit images, to the minor, and sending them by text messages qualifies. Third, the defendant has to have the intent of arousing, appealing to, or gratifying certain desires in the minor in the act of sending it. And finally, the defendant has to have sent that material to the minor with the intent of engaging in some kind of mature act with that minor. All elements have to be met in order for the defendant to be held criminally liable under that statute. And personally,
this is all things I've heard behind the scenes.
Because of that fourth element. That's because it does appear that Colleen sent those images to those minors, not necessarily because she wanted to do certain things with these minors, but because she wanted to be inappropriately funny. That's the way it appears anyway, based on what I've seen. And that's not to say that what she did was okay by any means. It's just to say that it doesn't quite rise to the level of criminal liability, in my professional opinion. But
there were so many people that were asking me to comment on that. And again, I really can't speak on, because things are changing every single day. I can't really speak about, but everything I heard there is things that I have heard. And obviously we're very much so focusing on California law, even though I'm not from California, we're focusing on that. And what I will say is, from what I've heard behind the scenes, there's a little bit of difference in what is currently said in this video. It's not taking anything away from this video. But I'll kind of leave it there.
Okay.
It's a bit of a different story when it comes to civil liability. So let's turn to that.
By the way, that's nothing taking away from this creator at all. I'm just speaking about like what conversations I've had behind the scenes and stuff like that.
With your own
and obviously
attorneys.
it comes into play with like international law, comes into place with California law, comes into place with where I was in Irish law.
All aboard!
Ah, this fucking song.
Okay, so civil liability refers to a situation where it's not the state that is bringing a case against a defendant, but it's a private party who is bringing a case because they've been personally harmed by the defendant. And usually they request damages as a result. And based on my research, I've found a number of situations where Colleen could face some civil liability. And to be clear, I'm talking about cases that are strong enough that they probably would proceed at least into the discovery phase, which is the phase where both parties are exchanging information, demanding information, evidence from one another. It's the stage where the litigation fees instantly jump way up and the other side gets access to information that otherwise would generally remain very private. Depending on the case and the allegations involved, I'm talking things like medical records,
Happy
tax
birthday.
filings, communications between family members, and other things that are normally considered very private. This is also where information can get leaked to the public because now more people simply have access to it, especially if there's no protective order in place. So as you can see, a lawsuit doesn't necessarily have to be a home run in order for the plaintiff to do some real damage to the defendant. All it has to do really is survive a motion to dismiss, or in California state court, as they call a demur, and the defendant could be in a world of hurt. Okay, but what kind of civil claims are we talking about here? The first one I'm thinking of is the claim of intentional infliction of emotional distress, or IIED. And here I'm thinking about the lingerie set, I'm thinking about the explicit text messages, I'm thinking about the OnlyFans images that were shared with these minors. I'm also thinking about the live show yoga tutorial challenge fart joke bit. The minors on the receiving end of all of these communications could have a case if they satisfy all of the elements of IIED. So here's what the plaintiff would have to show. First,
Also, if you have multiple people with a very similar feeling or takeaway perception of things that have happened.
defendant commits some act. Second, the defendant's act is outrageous. There's specific case law out there on how to determine whether or not an act is outrageous because it has to be objectively outrageous. Basically, it has to be the kind of thing that we as a civil society would definitely not tolerate. Mishandling of human remains would be a very easy example of this. But I think also a 30-something-year-old woman asking minor teens what their favorite position is or whether they're virgins and sending them lingerie personally and sending them explicit OnlyFans images could probably qualify too. And there's also a good argument for the act of bringing a teenage girl wearing a romper onto a live stage and spreading her legs as wide as possible in front of a massive
I need
live
to
crowd. Anyway,
sneeze.
this third element
Need
is
to
that the
sneeze.
defendant
Oh my
has
God.
to have acted
Sorry.
intentionally. This means that the defendant had to have acted either purposely to cause harm.
And I think that this is one of the, thank you. I think this is one of the things that is really important about this Colleen thing is that when you have so many people with so many different stories, but they have a very similar outcome of how people were affected or showing a person acting in a certain kind of way is very important to things specifically in like the legal aspect.
To the plaintiff, or that they had to have acted recklessly. Recklessness in this context means that the defendant knew of a likelihood of causing harm and ignored or...
The only reason I'm not turning subtitles on is because people got on to me for turning subtitles on in a video I was reacting to because they then watched my stream with subtitles on and it was double subtitles and it was blocking out one of the subtitles and it was confusing to read. So I have people that were giving me backlash for having subtitles on in videos, so that's why I'm not turning them on.
Disregard.
Because when people watch them,
Oh, come on.
it
let's
literally will counteract it. It will, like, it'll spam. So don't spam chat.
That likelihood. Fourth, the plaintiff has to show that as a result of defendant's outrageous act, the plaintiff suffered severe emotional harm. This is distress that is so severe that it causes mental or emotional health issues, and it's a situation where it would be foreseeable that that kind of act would cause that kind of harm. And finally, there's causation. The plaintiff's severe emotional distress has to have been caused by the defendant.
This woman is intelligent. This woman's intelligent.
In other words, it has to be the case that there's nothing going on in the plaintiff's life at the time that was equally or more traumatic than what the defendant did, and the emotional distress that the plaintiff is suffering from can't be something that they were.
Yeah, I mean, putting me aside, I mean, Becky really does have, this is Legal Bites on YouTube. I mean, Becky as well has a great case on, you know, emotional harm and someone acting in a way of exploiting you and stuff. Like, even if I put myself aside for a second.
Right, struggling with. It can be something that was exacerbated by the defendant's act, however. Now, when it comes to IIED claims, we really do have to make sure that we are talking about conduct that is objectively outrageous. And aside from that, the other most difficult part to prove with IIED is the intent piece. But as it relates to the live performance incident, Colleen also saw that Becky was wearing a loose romper and decided to proceed with the gag anyway rather than sending her back to her seat, which she 100% could have done. And as for these explicit communications with minors, here's where Colleen's ukulele video comes in to potentially bite her in the ass. See, in the video, she kind of makes a number of admissions about some of these allegations.
While at the same time saying that it's all bullshit, basically.
The communications with minors.
It's kind of like...
I don't want to listen to it, but we get the point. Basically, that she'll say that she's the creepy aunt, she would message fans, but then at the same stage, remember, she says that she wouldn't message fans. But she has admitted in this video, and let me tell you how many times behind the scenes I've had to watch this damn video and read the transcript of it. I could go fucking insane.
The important part is that she said that she had inappropriate communications and that she's learned. So yes, she admits that she had these conversations with you, Adam.
She does admit things in this video, or she admits enough. She admits enough. She really does admit enough.
And a skilled trial lawyer could 100% drag her in front of a jury on cross-examination, pressing her about this recognition and when exactly that light bulb went off. In fact, there are many lawyers that I've spoken with about this whole subject who would
not putting the English GCSE to work.
Absolutely love to put her on cross-examination about these issues. In that situation, she would either end up looking like a complete idiot or a total creep who was absolutely reckless, at the very least reckless, about the harm that she knew was likely to happen.
At the very least, just a loser, not a groomer.
To a group of minors that she was talking to. So in my opinion, I think there definitely is enough out there for
all the chat saying, no, she looks like both. Shady.
A colorable IIED claim. The only question is how long ago these incidents occurred, because in California, the statute of limitations for IIED is 2 years.
True.
Anyway, the next civil claim that
True, but whenever we're dealing with, especially international, things change a little bit.
I want to talk about is unpaid wages. But because of the volume and breadth of all of these allegations, that one is going to be in part 2. Once that's published, I will make sure that it is linked in the description below and shows up on the end of this video here. Be sure to check that out because things...
All right, so part 2 is talking about the work that I did with Colleen. And I'm interested to see that one, but I think that this one was really good, and I think seeing the different penal codes and stuff was really... I mean, it's interesting to, like, sit down here and read it and talk with you about. Obviously, it's things that I've extensively heard behind the scenes. And what I will say is that this creator, Legal Bites, is definitely onto something and is definitely very intelligent, knows her shit. And, yeah, my response to a lot of those things is that we're also dealing with international things here, and that kind of makes things a little bit more complex.
Right.
But, wow, this is a great video. So shout out to everyone who wanted me to watch this. It was really great.